is going on, my little beanies, my fellow prefects? It is I, Little Bean.
And this is Koamio.
And today we're bringing you a very, very special video. This is going to be our second tier list collab event. Yes! I'm so excited. This is kind of a bit of an all-in-one, because not only is it New Year's here, so it's a little bit of a New Year's gift for everybody, but it's also to celebrate me finally reaching 500 subs. Thank you guys so much. I would not be able to do this without you. I feel so blessed. I know so many good people.
Yeah, so before, Low Bean here reached 500, I put out a poll on my channel just asking people what kind of, I guess, tier list collabs they want to see with us. And we suggested some topics that were tossed out there. And so the winner, I think it was like the winner by a long mile, was basically ranking the Twst guys as dads.
Which, I mean, I don't blame you guys for, because we kind of had it in mind too. And I love that now we're going to have the chance to talk about it. We are going to do this. We are taking all of the Twst characters right here. You can see them on the bottom. And we are going to be ranking them as to how good of a dad they will be. And as a little bonus, we're also going to be talking about if we think, like, what kids we think they would have. So before we get started, let's first look over the rank options. Starting at the very top, we have Absolute Dad Unit. These are the guys who are meant to be dads, okay? They were born to be fathers. Like, someone, anybody, sleep with this man, give him a child because he needs to be a dad, okay?
That's this very special ranking right at the top.
Yeah, I don't know how many guys are gonna get up there, but I think I already have in my head a couple who might take that spot. What's the one after that, Koa-chan?
So then we have Amazing Dad. So he is not the Absolute Dad Unit, but the Absolute Dad Unit is like, the peak of the peak. So this rank goes to those who will be amazing fathers. They have the qualities of being one.
They might have like a couple things here and there. They might have to work on a little bit, but overall, like, you really don't have any complaints. They're just great dads all around. The rank after that is the world's okayest dad. So these are the dads that, like, you know what, they do pretty good and they do mess up sometimes. It happens. We're all human. But the point of the matter is he's all right. He's okay.
He's okay. He doesn't get the number one best dad mug. He gets the world's okayest dad mug.
He's the world's okayest dad, yeah.
He's all right. He's not terrible, but he's not like stellar either. It's just like okay. And it's fine to be okay sometimes.
Yep, absolutely. And then after that,
so we have the guys who are trying their best. He's trying his best. He is probably dropping the ball in a couple of areas there, but he is trying, and we give the A for effort. So he's doing what he can. He's trying.
Whether through just like sheer nervousness or inexperience, or the fact that he just doesn't know how to handle children that well. He's a little bit confused and a little bit frazzled, but you know what? He's trying, And then after that, we have the do not procreate tier. This tier goes to all of those dads who shouldn't be dads.
It's like, no, we shouldn't be. I don't think you should. We don't need you to.
We're being unnecessarily harsh because it's not a matter really of that he just shouldn't procreate. It sounds a little bit mean, but you know what? This goes to the Twst guys who he just shouldn't be dads. They're just not meant to be, and not in like a mean way. It's just he's just not meant for kids. Okay,
Yeah.
It's fine.
Not everyone is built for it.
Exactly. Some people just aren't meant to have kids, and that's okay. So that tier goes to those guys, and then the last tier. I mean. It's a pretty obvious one.
It's obvious. We have children or animals in there. Basically, it'd be like, we can't rank this. You got this. No.
Yeah, and we're still going to be ranking guys like, for example, like Train Sensei. Train Sensei is already a dad, and so we'll be ranking him just based purely not if he should be a dad, but how good of a dad that he is in the context of the game. Like, just out of things that we hear about him and his children. So he'll go somewhere on the list as well.
Yeah. So overall, this is our personal opinion. I guess headcanons
Yeah.
that we're playing
Straight
around
up
with.
big neon flashing sign. This is our opinion. This is not to be taken seriously. If we say something that you don't agree with, please don't take it personally. This is just a couple of loser Twist fans giving our personal opinions on these lovely characters, okay?
Yeah, and we'd love to hear from you guys too, what, your personal opinions are, right?
Yes, absolutely. Put it in the comments. I want to know about it. I want to know all your personal little headcanons. You can't get rid of me. I want to know all your business.
We need to share our theories together.
My gosh, I'm getting out my PowerPoint presentation as we speak.
All right then. So I guess did we go over the requirements or that we're
Oh, we
ranking
haven't
based
done
on?
that yet. No,
Okay.
no. Would you like to take that, Kotan?
If I can try to remember, you're gonna have to help me on it.
Sure, no worries.
I think one is like responsibility. So how responsible
Yep.
would they be as, a father figure of sorts?
Mm-hmm. So it's responsibility and reliability sort of all in one. Like
Hmm.
how as much is he there for the kids, and not just for the kids but like you as well. So like if you're really overwhelmed, is he willing to come up and say, hey, do you want me to take the kids for a little bit, and you just like relax? Is he there like for events or anything that happens in his kids' lives? Like how much is he in his kids' lives, and how much does he participate in their life, and how much is he there for you as well? So it's just sort of that responsibility and reliability. So that's like one of the big ones. And then the other one is relationship. So what kind of relationship does he have with his kids?
Okay, yeah, that's the other one we had. So yeah, we're kind of just
And just so,
figuring it out as we go along.
yeah, just so
It's kind of vague in a sense, and also very broad.
it kind of is. Well, because everybody's definition of what makes a good dad is a bit different, right? Like some
Yeah.
people would say that, being there all the time is one thing that's absolutely necessary. But some people think, well, he doesn't have to be there all the time as long as he's trying. Like that to me means more. So everyone's got their own opinion. So it's this really in the long run shouldn't be taken that seriously. This is just our own personal little opinions. But yeah, let's have some fun and let's talk about some Twist guys and how they would be as dads. And as I said before, our little bonus is going to be after each character, we're going to say if they did have kids, what kids would they have? How many kids? Maybe if they would be like boys or girls or whatnot. And if you're one of those people that's going to get offended immediately out of the gate because we're assigning some gender to some children of some fictional characters, first of all, chill. Second of all, is just our opinions. If genders or sexualities change down the line, that's their problem, all right?
Whatever these fictional children, whatever their choices are, we respect it.
Yep, absolutely.
But
For
all right,
sure.
so shall we start in terms
Finally,
of
let's
dorm
get
ranking?
this show on
Yes.
the road.
So
Starting as always with Heartslabyul. Yes.
all right, so we want to go. You want to start with Ace? He's here. He's in front of me.
We always start with Ace. He's the
All
Ace,
right, Ace. Okay, so Ace.
right? Oh, Ace. Oh, Ace. Sorry, I'm already laughing.
Okay.
Oh,
The
Lord,
thing,
Ace.
I think the thing is with Ace is like it's kind of like tying in back with like our previous video in terms of like ranking Twist guys by how good of a husband they'd be. I mean, like Ace is one where he's still in his immature phase. So
Yeah, absolutely. The Ace having a kid would be like if you're married to Ace and you have a kid, it's like great, I have 2 children. Like
Two children. Yeah, I mean, like he's still got a good head on his shoulders, and I feel like he, would try, but sometimes I feel like he would, like, try to. Oh man, I can't think of that word where it skirt his responsibilities.
oh, like shirk his
Sure,
responsibilities.
thank you. Yes, that's the
You're
word.
welcome. Yeah, well, because I feel like, I mean, again, yes, he's in his immature phase, and who knows, maybe in a few years he'll grow out of it and he'll be like great and responsible. But if we were to take his personality, the same one that he has now, and transplant it into Ace 10 years from now with a kid or something, and he still has that same sort of attitude where he's kind of doesn't, kind of shirks his responsibilities a little bit and whatnot. I feel like he'd have to go into the like tries his best. Yeah, tries his best because honestly, because I feel like he'd want to try. I mean, he knows he has to be a good dad, but he kind of flubs it a bit, all right? He drops the ball quite a bit because he just doesn't know what to do, okay? He's a bit clueless in that regard.
Yeah, he has a lot to learn, essentially, but he would be a fun dad. I mean...
Oh, yeah, for sure. He'd be like his dad, and he'd show his kid, like, all his, like, little parlor tricks and his card tricks and whatnot.
It'd be like, hey kid, check this out. It's like, is this your card? But then after like the 500th time he does it, his kids are like, please dad, just stop.
Stop, this is getting too much. I feel like Ace is one of those guys where, especially like when his kid's a little baby, it'd be great, he'd be able to make his kid laugh all the time, but then the minute it start crying, he'd be like, oh shit, I don't know what to do, here, take it.
What do I do now?
Oh no, what did I do?
Yeah, so he's got some ways to go.
He's got some ways to go for Ace. Now, for his counterpart, Deuce, on the other hand, I feel like Deuce has a little bit of a step up from Ace because Deuce, I at least feel like he would wholeheartedly put his heart and soul into trying, even though he would still flub it. So yeah, he's the world's okay.
He's okay. He is really trying. He is the one who was actively like, I need to learn how to be the best dad. I need to score the highest dad points I can.
Yep.
Somehow,
if
that was somehow possible, he's like, am I being a good dad? Am I being a good dad? Like, it's constant question.
He'd be sitting there, and like the first time he'd hold his kid, he'd be like, am I doing this right? Am I holding it properly? Oh my god, I'm gonna drop it, it's gonna die. Like, he'd be so nervous.
Yeah, so he flubs it up because he's just super nervous and needs everything to be done right, and it's just like panicking at times as well. So he just needs to chill a bit.
He does, for sure. But you know what? Even though he does flub it sometimes, and I feel like he's a little, like, he get into it, but I feel like for Deuce, he's one of those guys where if his kid is interested in something that he has no idea about, he just doesn't know how to relate to the kid. Like, he's not a very artistic person or whatever. So, for example, if he had a kid who was really artsy, he'd be like, yeah, sure, kid.
Looks nice.
Looks great. He's really trying his best, but he just doesn't know anything about any sort of artistic feats, so he's just kind of out of his depth there.
Yeah, I feel like, the one thing he can do is like sports, right? He's an athletic guy, so he would like try to bond with his kid that way, but if his kid is not an athletic type, it gets a little more difficult.
Yeah. So, like, he does try, and he tries sincerely, but I feel like he's just a bit awkward and isn't quite sure what to do. And if his kid is into something that he has no idea about, then he's kind of in a tight spot because he's not sure how to move on from there. So it makes relating to the kid a little bit different. But he is really responsible. Like, if his kid had like a school play, he'd go see it. Like he'd want to be there.
He's the one that goes in and just like, "Are you winning, son?"
Yeah. He's like sitting at the back, like the other parents have, like, he'll be like, yeah, go, and the other parents have to be like, shh, like, listen to the play.
It's just like he doesn't understand. It's like, what? I don't know. It's like he doesn't know what the end goal is, but he's like, oh, his kid's trying, right?
Yeah, he'd be that guy who would unintentionally embarrass his kid, Yeah,
it's because he's
trying so hard to be
hard.
Cool dad. Yeah. Now, we forgot to mention with Ace as well. We'll do it with Ace and Deuce here. It seems only fitting. What kids would they have, though, if they had kids?
So Ace, Ace is like, with a daughter, it's just funny. Especially if she's as smart mouth as he is.
Oh my god, yes, yes, I'm seeing it in my head now. It's perfect. Yes, he needs to have a daughter who is like as smart lipped as he is, and he's just like, I don't know what to do. He tries to be funny and like joke with her, and she's like, yeah, well, you're stupid, Dad.
And it's like, ouch.
Ow, what the hell?
It somehow stings even more when the little girl is like
Yeah, like he'd be that guy. It'd be like that meme, of, like, who is the sassy lost child? It's like, but I'm your daughter, Dad. What the hell?
Yeah, or it'd be like he wants to get like her hair braided or tied, and then like he does a bad job. He's like, "It sucks, Dad."
Yeah, it just tells him straight up.
I don't know. It's just funny, like picture it that way. Because I feel like maybe it's because I purposely want like Ace to like struggle a bit. Because like with a son, I feel like he's just gonna act the same way.
Yeah,
as
he would. He needs to struggle a little bit. It's kind of a thing with both of us. We just kind of both want to see Ace struggle a bit. He's such a little shit in game that I feel like this is the only recompense, you know?
Yeah, just get like a daughter who's as much of a little shit as he is.
Absolutely. I love that.
It's just like, here you go. You're like, this is like karma.
This is karma come to bite back at you for all the shit you put us through. Now, okay, hear me out. Deuce with a son, but he would be like one of the, like we said in the last one, he'd be like one of those wife guys. So like he'd teach his son to be like, your mother is amazing, and like worship the ground that she walks on. Okay, it'd be a mother centric household with like father and son, to be like, you be a good boy to your mom. Okay, you don't make her cry, because he went through the same thing with his mom, and it's like, the cycle repeats.
It's funny. I remember seeing this like meme image online once where it's like this mother who's like scolding her son on the balcony, and the dad comes in to try and like defend the kid, but then he ends up also kneeling on the ground next to the kid getting scolded by the mother.
Yes, that would be Deuce.
That's what I imagine.
That would be Deuce.
For Deuce.
Absolutely. So that's my headcanon. Ace gets a daughter and Deuce gets a son.
It works. Are you winning?
It works. Are you winning?
Yeah. Well, I agree with that.
Yep, I love it. I love this idea. All right. So next up, let's do K-kun.
K-kun.
I feel like K-kun's gonna be. I feel like K-kun would either be World's Okayest Dad, or he'd be trying his best. So I feel like K-kun still got some shit he's gotta deal with, and I think he's like. He's such an e-boy or whatnot that I feel like if he had his own kids, he like Ace, he'd be super fun, but I feel like he'd be a bit awkward with the heavier responsibilities, you know?
Yeah, I can kind of see that. He doesn't quite know what to do, and like constant, like babies cry so much, they spread their like germs and they puke everywhere. Like it happens, right?
Yeah,
so
it happens.
But I guess a Cater would not be having a good time.
No, he'd be like, "Oh my god, did I break my phone? Oh no!" Like he'd be like, I could definitely see like the baby crying or whatever, and he'd have it in his arms, and he'd just be like panicking, like, "What do I do? What do I do? It won't stop. I tried everything." Like,
it's just like.
I think the difference though is that I feel like Cater tries harder than Ace does. Not that Ace doesn't try hard. But Ace is kind of like, well, I don't know what to do, so I guess just take it from here. Whereas Cater would put in an honest effort, like, okay, I can do this, and then he can't. And then he can't do it, and then he's like, I don't know what to do. I've tried. I don't know what to do. Please help. Like.
But he's totally like an Instagram dad. He's the an Instagram mom that posts like 500 photos of like their children. It's just a male equivalent.
Oh my god, he'd be that dad where like. His friends would have to tell him, like, you know, Cater, being a dad is more than getting cute onesies for your kids.
Like he's got an entire camera roll just dedicated to taking pics of his kids.
His kids would have so many clothes just because he wanted to take a bunch of pictures of them in like cute baby clothes. So that's it. Like.
Yeah. So speaking of, I guess, kids, how many is the question for Cater?
K-kun. Funny enough with K-kun, and hear me out, because I feel like it would work with his little Instagram thing. He'd have twins.
It'd be really cute. I did definitely see him with like more than one kid. I don't know why, as it's like I just don't see like a single child. I usually at least like two or more.
Yeah. He'd have twins, and hear me out. One is because the Instagram aesthetics, you know, he get the matching onesies and stuff, and he'd be posting that shit all the time, and he'd have all these pictures of like him in the middle with one twin on either side of him, kind of thing. Like he'd do a lot of those kind of pictures, but also because let's face it, when one twin would start crying and then the other would start, and he's like, I can't do both at once. Help.
I'm a gator. You can split yourself into multiple copies.
I know, but he wouldn't think of it at the time. He'd be so frazzled that his brain would shut off, you know?
Yeah, and then you like whatever, you have to be reminded, like, yes, you have a unique magic that helps you with this.
Yeah, that allows you to split yourself. Like, you could have potentially 2 dads for each kid here, and yet somehow he'd still fuck up.
Imagine you're a baby and you just see like 4 copies of your father. How like messed up would that be?
Yeah. You basically have that look of somebody who just got their wisdom teeth taken out and you're still high on the drugs, you know? You're just like,
whoa.
What? Whoa,
So
man.
many dads.
What is going on? I'm pretty sure I'm not on drugs. The babies would be so confused. But yeah, I could totally see Cater with twins.
Yeah.
It would, and they would look like him. I don't know if it would be like twin boys or twin girls or like one of each. I don't know how it would work, but I feel like I could see them looking like him. Like the same ginger hair. You know?
It'd be cute.
So cute. So cute. Now we're just having fun talking about cute stuff. It's gonna be a lot of that.
It's gonna be a long. Okay, we gotta move along. We can do this all night or all day and night.
All right. Okay. All right. You know what I'm gonna say. Trey Clover. You know where he's going. Just put him up there. There we go. Yeah, okay.
This man needs to stop winning.
This man needs to stop winning, and also this man needs to be a dad. Someone get yourselves pregnant with Trey Clover's kid right now because he needs to be a dad. He was built to be a dad, okay? House husband, house dad, it works.
He already ranked top for like, you know, best like husband material. Now he graduates to a absolute dad unit.
Absolute daddy. This man was made to be a dad, okay? Part of the reason that he got into top husbando tier was because of how good of a dad he'd be, okay? Like you see him with the apron because he's been baking at the shop or whatnot. You can see him walking down the street with like one kid in his arms and the other kid holding onto his hand. Like, it just works, okay? Like, he needs to have more than one child. First, I'm going to point that out.
Yeah.
At least 2, if not 3.
2, yeah. Because, like, he comes from a family with, like, he has several siblings, right? So, what was it?
Yeah, I think he's the oldest. I think he has at least 1 brother and 1 sister. I don't know if he's got more than that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I also picture him with like a relatively large family. Yeah,
for sure. Well, I could see again at least 2 or 3, if not more. But I could totally see that, and he'd be like he'd be baking with the kids. He'd help them with schoolwork. He'd play with them all the time, like it's just such a picture in my head. This perfect, like, it's like when you think perfect, dad, he's too perfect. Disgusting. It's so perfect in my head, and his like cute little laugh that he does in the game. We need like a sound clip of his cute little laugh.
Oh yeah, I know exactly. I can hear it in my mind.
You can hear it. Like his kid would be doing something, or he'd mess up, and he'd do his cute little laugh, which is like perfect dad laugh. It's so bad, guys. It's so bad how much of a good dad he is.
I mean, like, we already seen, like, he is basically the mom dad friend of Heartslabyul, so he's got like
he's had so much practice already.
He has so much practice with Heartslabyul. He has to handle like Adus and like also
well, especially riddles like temper tantrums and stuff.
But we know he can handle that. He can
do it. But he's also kind of like he'd be the one who he would tell all of the dad jokes, okay? Like his kid would come home from school and he's like, hey sport, what's going on? Oh, Dad, I'm sad. Well, hello, sad. I'm Dad. Like,
I feel like he did say a dad joke at one point in the English version of Twst. I'm like, oh,
but he did. Like that. That's just
is dad.
They know. Whoever translates, they know. They know he's already dad material. You know, like Plus, I feel like he's got that slightly vindictive streak with his kids. Like, if one of his kids be like, "Dad, I don't like this particular treat that you make. I don't like it. It tastes funny or whatever." And then like he would then like the next day make that kid's favorite treat, and then be like, "Well, no, I thought you said you didn't like these treats." Like, slight vindictiveness on his part. But then when the kid would start getting upset, he'd be like, "Fine, but next time." Can't say nice things, don't say anything, you know?
Yeah, he can be firm, which is like, so he has like, he's not going to spoil his children, but at the same time, like he's going to treat them well, but still have that like firm hand.
Well, and he's definitely not as strict as some other dads like further down the line would be. But he can still put his foot down, and again, perfect image. This like tall guy, pretty broad shoulders. He's got this apron on because he works at the bake shop, and he's got like these kids that he's playing with on the carpet. Oh my god, it's like such an image in my head. Someone kill me.
Trey, stop being like the poster man Trey. For like women's magazine. You gotta stop.
Stop giving us unrealistic expectations.
Ooh.
Man, it's gonna be so hard following that up, man.
But we gotta keep going.
We gotta keep going because again, it's gonna be 40 minutes of Heartslabyul.
Oh yeah, it's.
Oh lord.
All right.
But moving on from ultimate dad unit here. Oh Riddle.
Riddle.
Oh Riddle. It's so hard because I feel like Mama here, he would try his best. Okay, he struggles so much. He's been through so much shit in his life, and he's caught between disciplining his children properly but not wanting to be like his mother.
Yeah, that's exactly like what I was thinking, because he doesn't really talk about his father much. So,
he really doesn't.
It seems like his father doesn't really do much.
Yeah, well, like he mentions his parents, so his dad is obviously there, but it's clear that like the main influence comes from the mother. So, and that like his mother is the one who's clearly traumatized him. So with Riddle, I feel like he's kind of caught between trying his best and world's okayest dad, because I feel like he genuinely would want to try to be a dad. He go by the book, all right? Like the moment he knew he was going to be a dad, he get all of the guidebooks, he'd do all of his research, he would like prep so far in advance. Like he really wants to try,
He is putting that effort in, but there's the gap between theory and like practical, right? So he's like, he's got all the theory in his head, but then like when it actually comes down to it, he might be a little frazzled in dealing with it.
And I think here the reason I'd still put him and tries his best, because unlike Cater, who'd kind of freak out and be like, "Come help me," he'd be like, no, I'm freaking out, but like I want to try and do this myself. I want to figure this out. Like he's definitely a problem solver, so he'd want to figure out if his kid is crying, like what's the cause. Like, do not help him. He wants to figure it out for himself. But I feel like because it's still Riddle Rose Hearts, he'd have a job that'd be rather demanding. So in terms of like actually how often he'd be there, I feel like it probably wouldn't be as much. So he gets bonus points for trying harder than Cater, but then we have to deduct him those points because I feel like he wouldn't be as there for the kid as say Deuce would be,
Yeah, because it does also depend on his work. Whether, I don't know, he decides to become a medical doctor or lawyer, it does take up a lot of his time. So I think trying his best.
Yeah, he tries his best. Like when he is home and he's there with his kid, and he'll want to spend his time with his kid, even though he's a bit frazzled and struggles a bit at first. But yeah, I think he's just really busy a lot of the times, and he's learning, right? And he's trying to find, he struggles with that balance between what is proper discipline for a child and he doesn't want to be too overbearing,
Yeah. So I think he can go here. So
he's trying his best. He's trying his best.
He's trying it. Most of Heartslabyul are trying their best.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, not everybody can be Trey Clover.
No, I mean that's a hard benchmark to
That's a
me.
hard benchmark for sure. So let's move on now. Gosh, we're actually out of Heartslabyul now.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Savanaclaw.
Oh
And I think it's
yes.
only appropriate we go from youngest to oldest. So let's start with Jack.
Jack. Okay. Did we go
Oh
over how many
man.
kids Riddle has?
Oh no, we didn't. I'm so
No,
sorry.
we will backtrack a bit.
Oh my gosh, I
Riddle.
keep forgetting.
Actually,
Riddle.
with Riddle's lifestyle, I could see him having just one kid, or yeah, two. I would not be able to see him with more than two.
Yeah, same. I agree. It's either one or two. I don't really have a particular like boy, girl. It wouldn't really matter, but yeah, either one or two kids, and that would
Yeah.
be it. But I mean, let's face it. If he did have a daughter, she'd have to be called Alice, of course.
It'd be so cute. She'll have all
So
the
cute.
fluffy dresses.
Oh my gosh, yes, yes. I love it. I love it immediately. Somebody make this happen. And I want her to have his red hair.
Oh, yeah.
So
Then
cute.
some nice long red hair, maybe tied up in like really cute styles.
Yeah, little pigtails.
Yes.
Cute. Sorry, sorry we like kind of cut into the Savanaclaw one, but here now
All
we're
right.
officially starting Savanaclaw. All right, Jack.
You know what?
Oh, Jack.
Jack.
What are you feeling? What are you feeling? I can see your
I
brain
can
is
I
going
can see.
here.
I think he goes here, to be honest.
Amazing dad. Okay.
Amazing dad.
All right.
It's like, yeah, he is a little rough around the edges, but I think when it comes to actual like family, like he'd be very much a family guy.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like once he got married, because obviously it's the whole soulmate thing, right? Like he'd want to have kids, and he'd just be there from the beginning, and he'd be that dad where it's like you never have to worry about anything because dad's always got your back,
He will protect.
He will protect. He will defend. He will fight.
Yeah. So you got your defense covered, but I can also see him, also, putting in that effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
And bonding with his children.
I feel like the one difference between him and Trey, and why Trey is absolute dad unit and Jack is just a little bit less, is that I feel like Jack is a bit awkward with babies.
It's because they're so small in his hands.
I know, they're so tiny, and he's like, oh my god, it's so small. What do I do? I don't want to hurt it. Like, I think he's good with them, but I feel like he's a bit awkward with them. Like, especially if they're like getting sick and whatnot. He kind of has that like, oh crap, what do I do now? I guess I gotta clean it. Just that little bit. And then as they get a little bit older, he becomes more comfortable with them.
Yeah, I think as once they're young children or they're old enough to kind of take around.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Sure.
He'd be good dad.
But honestly, other than that, there's really nothing else I could say that it's like, no, Jack would just be amazing. There's again reason he's also in ultimate husbando tier, because he would just be an amazing dad. Now for Jack, I could see, I mean, he has a couple of younger siblings, so I could definitely see like at least 2 or 3 kids for Jack. At least one boy, one girl. And then if he's got more than that, then, whatever. But I could see at least one boy and one girl.
Yeah, I envision like basically a pack. This is like, maybe 3
little
kids.
wolf pack. Little wolf family pack. It's so cute.
Yeah, so I am picturing like around 3 kids-ish.
Yeah. Oh, so cute. He'd love his kids, man. Oh my god. Plus, let's face it, me personally, the whole like big dad and small baby, that Gatmoy is so fucking cute. It's so cute. You can just hold the little infant like one hand.
It's like so delicately.
I know. Oh, it's so cute. Anyway, I have to keep going, otherwise I'm going to be dragged down again.
All right, you want to go with Ruggy?
Let's go with Ruggy. Ruggy would be an interesting dad.
Ruggy.
I'm not gonna say like don't procreate, because I feel like he'd be a decent dad, but I feel like he's never had a dad, right? I mean, Ruggy's story is straight up the saddest in the freaking game.
Oh yeah.
Why'd you have to do that to us, Tobosol? Why'd you have to do Ruggy like that, man? Ouch. But like he doesn't really have any experience, and he doesn't really have like any father figures from which to like get any ideas of how to be a dad. So I feel it would definitely be a learn as you go experience.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's just like, well, he's a smart cookie. He'll pick
Yeah.
things up I feel like in terms of learning how to dad, he'll pick it up pretty quickly on like the basics on feeding the baby, changing diapers, and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I feel like, he'd be keenly aware of how much it costs to have kids, obviously. So like he'd be able to budget really well in terms of like, all right, so if I have this much this week, then I can afford to get, this much food or diapers or whatever I need. So I feel like in terms of that, he's got you covered. So he'd be pretty responsible, and he would never not have a job.
Yeah, I feel like he will do his best to provide. Like his whole his wherever finances aren't the greatest, but he I guess makes do with it. And I feel like definitely if he has a kid, it would have been planned.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm struggling whether to put him in tries his best or world's okayest dad. Because I feel like even though he does try really hard, there are some things like I still think he'd be a little bit awkward with them at first, especially when they're like little babies. And even though he tries his best, I feel like sometimes he kind of teases his kids a lot.
Of course, but he also teaches them like a lot of practical skills. So
oh my god,
he's at least.
Listen, he'd be teaching them how to pickpocket at age 4. Okay, like.
All right, I think he deserves at least this ranking.
Yeah, I feel that. He'd be teaching them a lot of life skills, or like in his term, like life skills, like don't eat these plants, but these ones are okay to eat. Hey, if you're ever in a bind, here's how you can get out of it. Like he'd be teaching them a lot of practical life skills so that they have like an upper edge just in case they ever need it. But I feel like Ruggy's the type where he'd want his kids to have a better life than he did.
Oh yeah, he's definitely in that whole mindset. It was like because he made the decision to bring them into the world, so it's like, okay, now I have to make sure that
they got it better than
they
me.
got it better. Yeah,
absolutely. He'd be the world's okayest dad for sure. I feel like as they get a bit older too, like I think he's really good with like kids, but then as they become teenagers, he's like, well, now what do I do with them? He's not sure how to deal with teenagers.
Get a part-time job.
Yeah, straight up. He'd be like, I mean, you could go to school or you could get a part-time job and make some cash.
It's like, all right.
Yo, Reggie, they gotta go to school. They gotta go to school. But in terms of like what kids he would have, I could see like, again, like 2 or 3 kids.
Yeah, I think economically you probably aim for 1, but
I feel like he'd aim for 1, but that just wouldn't happen.
You just get like a bonus. I don't know, either it's twins or either it's like the second one. Just like, oh, okay.
That's what we call the oops baby. But he can't let his kids know that they were oops baby.
Yeah, I would say the first one was planned. Second one maybe, not really.
Yeah. Anything else is just like whoop. That's definite whoops. Yeah. He tries, but he'd be okay.
Yeah.
He'd be okay as a dad.
We think he's all right. Yeah.
I think he's all right. I think he'd work. Oh boy, Leona King Scholar. I mean,
it's a difference between like does he even want kids and like how he handles kids, because we only really seen his interaction with Cheka.
Yeah, and everyone's like, yo man, you don't want his kid to like, you don't want him to react to his kid the same way he reacts to Cheka.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, like it's not like is it because he dislikes Cheka for being annoying, or because it's his brother's son, specifically?
I think it's because Cheka usurped him in terms of, order of where the crown goes,
Yeah.
and I think that's what upsets him. I think for Cheka, it's personal, He took it personally with a 5-year-old,
Yeah, meanwhile the kid loves him.
But I feel like with his own kids, it's so hard to say because he's a royal, so his kid would get like royal tutors and whatnot. So he wouldn't have to do much of the actual teaching. I feel like he'd step in when he felt something was wrong and be like, no. The tutors told you this, but it's easier to do this, or it's actually, more efficient if you do it this way. Like he'd step in when necessary. But I feel like a lot of it would be like his kid trying to play with him and like treat him like a big jungle gym and crawl over him, and him either napping or being like, go play somewhere else,
Yeah, I don't. He's lazy. He's
so lazy.
Exactly a very like hands-on active.
Yeah, don't get us wrong. He wouldn't be a bad dad. It's just he'd be so like lazy, and I think he'd be like, well, whatever. I've got like royal maids and shit. Like they can take care of the kids. Not that he doesn't love his kid. It's just raising kids is a lot of hard work, and does he really want to do that? I mean, we just kind of went through chapter 7 and, no like big spoilers, but when Leona is like trying to find placement, he's just like, might as well go to a place that's in my country because then they're not going to say no to me because I'm the prince. So
yeah, just like easiest way out.
Easy way out, man. So I feel like if Leona takes that sort of practicality, even to something that doesn't relate to either for like Felina or Cheka, like his internship has nothing to do with his placement on the throne, and yet he's still taking the easy way out. I feel like it kind of be the same when it comes to having kids too. He'd want to have them, don't get me wrong, but I feel like more than anything, it's almost like a status symbol. Like he can have kids,
Like, yeah, these are my children. These are my offspring. Yep. Check them out.
Yeah,
look what I made.
They're better than yours. Like,
I feel like he goes somewhere in like below Trison's Fence, but it's like slightly above Do Not Procreate. It's like,
oh Lord,
I feel like
we need a tier that's just Leona.
Just for Leona.
Just Leon. Well, let's stick him in. Tries his best for now, and if we change our minds, we can come back to him.
Okay, because I feel like even within the tries his best, there's like a hierarchy going on.
Well, and not like that, but it's like, does he really try?
Is he really trying?
Does he really? Is he really even trying? Debatable.
Yeah, he kind of needs like an in between tier.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we could stick him in the Do Not Procreate. I feel like it'd be easier for him to just not have kids, but he would want to have kids, if for nothing else, purely to say that, hey, I've got kids and they're better than yours, like...
Unless we have it shared, it'd be like, not recommended.
Yeah, do not recommend. Maybe instead of, Do Not Procreate, let's change that up to would not recommend. And then let's stick Leona in it.
This tier was made just for Leona.
For Leona, yeah.
Ooh,
poor
okay,
bastard.
there you go.
Ouch. All right, Leona, there you go.
We
would not recommend.
Ooh, but you're competing with some heavy competitors here, Leona. So sorry, buddy.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Savannah, well, no, hang on. Before we move on for Leona, if he did have kids, what can you say? I feel like Leona has to have 2 kids, like exactly 2 children, whether they're boys, girls, boy or girl, whatever. He has 2 children, so solely so they can do that thing where, like, if he's going somewhere, they're clinging onto his legs.
One on each leg.
One on each leg, and they're like, "We're not gonna let you go," and he's like, "Oh wait, what the fuck? Get off!"
I feel like it might not be true, but I feel like at one point he would kind of joke to his kid or like to his partner that like he had the reason why he wanted 2 kids is like the second kid's the backup.
the backup kid.
Not that he's like anticipating anything terrible, but it's kind of like an offhand joke and being like, yeah, this kid, you're like the backup child. If plan A fails, you're like plan B.
Yeah. And like you'd say it as a joke, but you have like a hot second there where you wonder if it actually is a joke before it's like, okay, it is a joke. I doubted for a moment, but it is a joke. Oh man, Leona. We still love him, guys. We promise. We're not we keep putting him low on tier list because he's so goddamn irresponsible. He does it to himself though, okay? I will reiterate, Leona is the reason I got into Twisted Wonderland, okay? I love him dearly, but damn, he's so lazy and irresponsible.
So he can't be a winner in everything, okay?
No, he really
it's the specific tiers we've done so far.
I mean, let's face it, if we were doing purely like Twisted Wonderland's hottest guys, he'd be in top tier, okay? Like for sure. No question about it. But in terms of how good of a dad he'd be, yeah, would not recommend.
Yeah, all right. This tier's for you, Leona.
This tier's just for you, Leona. There you go. All right, moving on to Octavinelle. Let's get some fish babies in here.
All right, Octavinelle peeps.
Octavinelle. Let's start with Jade.
Jade? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. Let's do Jade.
Jade. On the surface, he was an amazing dad. From the outsider's perspective, looking in, they see him, they see his children, and they probably be like, "Yeah, this guy's a solid father."
Yeah, absolutely. Like he'd take his kids to school. He cook for them when they get home. Like, you know, he, for all intents purposes, he does everything that he should do. You know, he'd be there for them if there's something going on. Is his kids in something? He'd go and see. He'd be like stalking at the back of the room. You know.
Yeah, he's still very patient, even during their like. I feel like he's the. I can envision him, having like one kid under his arm, like that's like throwing an absolute tantrum in like a supermarket, but he's just casually carrying them one arm and still like going around picking up groceries as this child is like losing his mind.
Like flailing in his arm, the kid is just going crazy, and Jade is just like carrying on like there's nothing wrong. Other people are looking at him like, is he okay? Is he like kidnapping this child? And it's like, no, it's his own kid. It's just that he won't stop, and he doesn't want the kid to run off. So, best solution is he holds on to the kid and continues with his shopping. What's the problem here? Yeah, so he'd seem a bit odd sometimes to people who didn't know, like he'd do stuff like that. Like I feel like the only time where his kid could offend him is if his kid didn't like mushroom flavored things. Like that would be it. Like his kid wouldn't like mushrooms, and then he'd be like heartbroken. But other than that, I feel like he'd be fine. He'd be fine. He'd be an amazing dad.
Yeah,
I feel like
he could do everything. He could cook.
He could do it.
He could look after them, to teach or tutor them.
Yep, for sure. I mean, he definitely would be like, hey, if anyone's picking on you at school, let me know. And then that kid would just get erased off social media. Like,
ooh, okay.
Yeah, do not mess with a leech child, okay? Just don't do it. Just don't. But yeah, he'd be an amazing dad. And I don't know if would I put him in absolute dad unit?
I mean, in terms of if this was a resume, he technically checks off the resume box.
He does, and you know what? Unlike Jack, who I think would be a bit awkward with babies, I don't think Jade would be awkward with babies at all. Like the kid, like the baby could throw up on him, and he'd just sit there and be like, oya, and then just go clean it up.
Because you know what? His favorite thing is like basically unpredictability, and that is like basically the embodiment of a child.
Yeah, kids are unpredictable by nature, so I think he'd just have fun. He would just have fun watching his kid exist and do random shit. Like the kid could like draw on the fucking walls. His kid could come home and like be like, no, I don't want soup, or like he has soup and just like crumbles all his crackers in the soup or something like that, and he'd just be fascinated with everything. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? I'm so curious about you, child.
Studying his own child
He's studying his own child, okay?
Like some sort of like exhibit.
Yep, kind of. But in turn, the child gives him so much entertainment in that way, so how could he not care for the child with everything that he has, So yeah, let's do it. Jade, I think I've changed my mind on you. I think let's put him in absolute dad unit.
You can go up there.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Trey there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolute dad.
it's one of those. It's like I can't think of a flaw. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's less of like I have this ultimate picture in my head because apparently I'm biased for Trey somehow, and more of just like the same thing of like Jamil in the last collab where I can't think of anything that's wrong here. You know.
Yeah, I don't see a flaw. He just handles everything so smoothly.
Yeah, like you could get home from work and Jade, you'd be like, "Oh gosh, I have to like make dinner now. Like the kid's gonna be home. I should help with the homework." And Jade's just sitting there like, "Oh, I've already got the pot on the stove, and I'm letting the kid like go through the next 5 questions by himself. And if they need help, then they can ask." And it's like, "Oh, okay." He's got everything taken care of.
Oh, the dream.
The dream. But as we said in the husbando tier list,
I've got everything taken care of.
But as we said in the husbando tier list, that's if you can catch his attention.
Yes.
If you can, then yeah, you got the dream. But in terms of being a dad, I feel like no matter what, his kid would be like would give him some unpredictability. In terms of what kid he would have, oh, it's kind of hard. I mean,
I can see him with either a son or daughter.
I know, but I could see with like it'd be like one kid. I don't think I could see him with more than one kid.
Well, if they happen to be twins, but I think that's like yeah.
I think if it's like a leech tradition to have twins, then yeah, okay, I could definitely see that. But if it's not, then I could see one. Don't know if it was boy, girl. I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, I think like boy or girl. I don't really see like a set one. It's
yep.
It can go either.
It could go either way. Yeah, for sure.
Either way. Yeah.
Now, Floyd, on the other hand, I'm gonna stick this out there right now. Octavinelle stands, all you Floyd Sims, including you, Koa-chan. I'm ruining your dreams right now, but I would not recommend this. I would not recommend having a child with Floyd Lee.
So,
because like he's so moody.
He's I guess you call it like a ping pong like result here. The thing is he would like basically go back and forth between being like a great dad to being like irresponsible. Yeah, kind of bad.
Like, but because it's so unpredictable, it's not reliable. You can't just rely on him to be an awesome dad, because what if today he's feeling like his kid's annoying, like his kid is crying and needs, food or something, and he's just like, "Oh my god, it's really annoying, shut up." Like
yeah.
But the one thing I will say is that he is good with kids, but the one time that we've seen him be good with kids, it was someone else's kid, and it was for like an instant. If he had to actually be the responsible father and deal with his child every single day, even when they're a little baby and they're crying his ear off, could he do it? Like
yeah, I can totally like, you have the good days where it's just like, yeah, he's can like play with his like kids and like hang out with them, and it's like super fun or not. And I feel like I just don't know why I picture this. It's just like, well, the kid was being annoying, so I just like put him in the tank.
Yeah. like just an empty tank. Just an empty tank.
With like a toddler in it, but it's like, oh, cool. It's not even a mer form, it's just a toddler in a tank.
He's just sitting there like, "Floyd, there's a playpen for that." And he's like, "Oh." But he just assumed like mer children like go in tanks, right?
It was a container that was readily available.
Half-fish.
It's just it's like, whatever.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's like, no, you can't just leave him alone in a glass tank, okay?
There's like no water or anything in it. It's just an empty
He's just
container.
in the tank. He's just in this empty tank.
Like this kid just chilling in there.
Yeah, I would not recommend. Like again, when he's good, you can totally see him like he's carrying the kid. They're like playing airplane. He's like, wee, like, and the kid's laughing and he's having a lot of fun and tickling him, and it's so cute, whatever. But then the next day he's like, I don't know, he was crying and annoying me, so I put him in the tank.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's the inconsistency
Yeah,
that we put
it can't
him.
be relied upon. When it's good, it's real good, but when it's bad, it's concerning. So he's not reliable enough, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm sorry, all you Floyd stans. I would not recommend having a kid with Floyd. But if he did have a kid, now Floyd, I could see with like the twins, the Leech twins. You know.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, it's like more Tweel Juniors.
Yeah, little two boys specifically, little
Yeah.
Leech juniors. Okay.
Which
Just
that would be one hectic household.
yeah, you don't want Floyd with twins. Like RIP for anyone who wants that. You are stronger than I.
You now have to admit and be like, this will be a challenge.
Yeah. And you know what? If you want that challenge, good on you, mate. Because I'd say the same thing too for anybody who's still after the assessment wanting to have Leona's kids, which includes myself. Okay, like
Mhm.
I am as bad as I say I am. Okay, so good luck to all you
I,
Floyd lovers.
it's like it's all right. I accept it.
Yep. Now I've got a
Azul.
thing or two that I could say about Azul Ashen Grotto. Okay.
Oh, Azul.
Firstly, I think he'd be an amazing dad. I think he would be. He'd be awkward at first, but I think he'd pick it up pretty quickly. My thing
Yeah.
with Azul is that this guy would be the absolute worst for spoiling his kids rotten. Oh my god. It would be awful.
He is okay. He is amazing dad to his like from his kid's perspective. It'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, dad's the best. You know why? Because dad can get anything.
Yeah, dad's the best because he never says no to me.
He doesn't say no to me, and he gets me what I want. Therefore,
Yeah.
he is like the best dad because,
And
like,
I'm
yeah.
also gonna put it out there for all you Azul simps. He would have a daughter, and that daughter would be the most spoiled posh princess on the freaking planet. She would be the like typical Ojo, like wait until my father hears about this.
Yeah, but I can't even argue against that. I'm like I want to defend Azul and be like, no, you be at least a little bit more firm with his kids. I'm like, nah, man, he has a
No, he
daughter.
would
She gets
not.
spoiled rotten.
He would not. Like it would be different if he had a son, I feel like, but I'm gonna put it out there. He would have a daughter, one daughter, and that one daughter would be the pearl of his world, the little apple of his eye. Okay, he would never say no to her. The minute she started crying, he'd just give her anything. Okay, because that's his little baby princess. Okay, you know she'd be there at 6 years old, like Papa, I want a pony, and he'd get her 5. Like
It's like, God, this is overkill.
yeah, like the ridiculous amount of spoiling that he would do for this little princess. Okay, she'd be there as like an 8-year-old, and she would be she'd snub her nose at her classmates, just like, "Do you even know who I am? I'm the daughter of Azul Ashen Grotto," and like
Insufferable.
insufferable little princess. And let's face it, by this point in time, Azul would have his like company empire set up, so he'd be loaded. So every day he'd have a chauffeur take her to school.
It's like, oh my God. It's like I feel like, he'd be the one where he'd be like, Azul, I think you're like spoiling your child too much. He'd be like, no, I don't.
Nonsense! I don't spoil my children.
I'm like, I teach her well, and she understands there whatever rewards in this world that need to be gained, but like this is Azul's daughter we're talking about. I think she'll learn how to basically find the loopholes and like worm her way into like getting what she wants anyways.
I mean, honestly, even from the moment she was born, like Azul was wrapped around her little baby pinky. Okay, like, like he'd be that type where he'd be like, "What are you talking about? I'm not like my mother." And he thinks back to all the times where like his mother would spoil him and let him eat anything he wanted or whatever, and then he doesn't realize he's basically doing the same thing. I feel like her diet would be the one area where Azul would be like, no more sweets. You can't have any more sweets. You don't want to go through what I went through, child, okay? Like, that'd be like the one area where he put his foot down, but everywhere else, no, it's a spoiler.
No, this daughter would learn how to weaponize her tears, and it would be extremely effective. And she's basically a villainous archetype. That is what she becomes. Yeah. She becomes your standard isekai villainous archetype.
Yeah, she was born to be an Ojo-sama. Man, we sound like we're grilling Azul here, but really we're saying like he would be a great dad. He'd be there constantly. Like he'd stop. Like if there was a meeting going on, his daughter ran in, he'd fucking stop the meeting and be like, "What is it, sweetie? Like I need, Daddy's in an important meeting right now, but I want to listen to what you have to say." Like he'd be there for his kid 100%. And I mean, he'd give her anything she wants. So he'd be an amazing dad. It's just that, oh my God, the levels of just absolute spoiling his child are off the charts.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like technically, yeah, he's provided everything a child could need and want and more.
Yeah, I mean, and he'd offer support when necessary, but encourage them to like try to do some stuff independently so that they can figure it out for themselves. I'm just gonna say she, because in my head, I've kind of cemented in my head that he would have a daughter and that she would be Ojo-sama. Okay, like
yeah, it would not. It'd be different if it was a boy, but definitely like if a daughter, it would just end up being a princess.
Yep, and she would definitely be like do you even know who I am? I am the daughter of Azul Ashen Grotto, the president of Monstro Corp. Like, she would be that girl, okay?
The hair flip.
The rich heiress, like.
It's like, yeah.
Oh my God.
So he's amazing dad, but he doesn't quite fall into absolute dad unit because I feel like he's also a very busy man.
He is pretty busy, and I mean, even then, he wouldn't be absolute dad unit because he doesn't know how to freaking discipline his kid. Okay, like he can't put his foot down. He just says yes to everything. Okay. I'm sorry, Azul. We went on a tangent there. I was having way too much fun roasting him a little bit. But lovingly so.
Yes, in a loving way.
It's my daily dose of Azul bullying. It's fine. It happens. But yeah, that's Octavinelle. Moving on, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be a fun one. Scarabia. Oh man, we love our Scarabia boys. So I guess since we're doing dorm leaders last, let's start with Jamil Viper. Oh boy. Okay.
All right, Jamil.
All right. Jamil has to be in one of the top 2 tiers. I can't not see him as a great dad, okay? Like, kind of like Ruggy, he teach him a bunch of life skills from the offset. Be like, look, if you're ever in a bind, here's how you get out of it, all right? He's pretty street smart, so he'd be able to teach his kids those kind of things. And he would make sure that they had independent life skills so that they wouldn't end up having to rely on anybody.
I think so. I'm putting him amazing dad because the one thing I can see him being though is like he is a very stressed guy.
He's a very stressed guy. He absolutely.
He's the type where the kid, he might be a little overbearing at times, where the kid's running around, maybe like climbing stuff, and he's just like literally like, get down from there, and it's like, no, I don't want to get down from there. It's like, you come down here, right this instant.
I could see it be a little bit harsh, and I feel like it's one of those things too where I feel like in the future, whether he's still a servant of the Asim family or he isn't, like that changes and he has his own career or whatever, I feel like he keeps himself rather busy. So I feel like there'd be times where he's a bit distant from his kid. Like he has a little trouble relating to them because he's so freaking stressed all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of marks him down. But I feel like other than that, he would be really good. Like he'd make sure that all of his kids would have like straight A's in school. He'd be with them doing homework. He'd cook them amazing food. If there was something that was wrong, I feel like he would listen to his kids. He might not always have the best solution for them, but he'd at least listen to his kids.
Yeah, I feel like overall, he's a good teacher. He understands to set boundaries.
His one area, it's not that he's cold towards his kid, but he's not as warm as he probably could be. And I think that's the one area where he needs improvement. But other than that, like, I can't think of any other flaw.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with him in this tier.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think that works. I think that works. I mean, again, we can't all be Trey Clover.
We can't. We have to try. We need like we're gonna need a tier where you're not on the top now.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll think of something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with Jamil here. I think that works out.
Yeah.
Now, Callum, on the other hand. Oh wait, hang on. Before we can move on to Callum, we didn't say how many kids.
How many kids do you
Jamil would
have?
have.
I would say like I think he would be reluctant to have children at the start.
I think too, especially if he was still a servant. I feel like he probably wouldn't really want to have kids while he's still a servant. Like he wouldn't want his kids to also be stuck in the same boat as him.
Yeah. I that's like his kind of hesitation there, but I do see him, having one kid or two at most. I don't really see him having a very large family.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just like less responsibility.
Yeah, and like I can't really say either way if it's boy, girl, like I'm not sure. The only way I could see him having more than one or maybe two kids is that if he wasn't a servant of the Yasin family. Like if he was free and he had the choice of what to do with his life and he was a bit happier and a little less stressed because he doesn't have to care for Callum 24/7, then I think he could have more kids. Like then I'd say like 2 or 3 kids. But yeah, if he's a servant of the Yasin family still, then yeah, I think like 1, 2 at most. And if he's not a servant, then I could see like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I can see that. He just needs to be less stressed.
he needs to get a break, Yeah,
he really
Jamil Viper's existence is just this man needs a break. But yeah, and then so I feel comfortable putting Jamil there. Now in terms of Callum, on the other hand, I mean, straight up out of the gate, you guys all know it. Callum would be the funnest dad, okay? He'd be so much fun. All of the playtime. He'd be there on the ground, rolling around on the carpet, playing with the kids, like hands-on. He would love it. Again, sort of the same principle as Ace of like, I have more than, more children than I actually had,
You know what? I'm gonna put it actually in World's Okayest Dad.
World's Okayest Dad. Yeah. Because I feel like in turn, like, he's kind of like Azul. He spoil his kids rotten. I mean, he's got the money to do so. Like, anything the kids want, he'd be like, yeah, okay, you can have that. So, like, his kid, and then his kids would just be like, yay, Dad never says no to us because he can afford to not say no,
Yeah, I'm putting it at Okayest Dad because, like, I think, with his upbringing and most likely his kids' upbringing, they're gonna end up having a lot of maids and stuff to like take care of all that work. Yeah,
I feel like he would like, especially when they're little babies. I feel like he'd try to like, oh no, the kid's crying. Maybe I should try to stop it. But he's so clueless.
Yeah, so he is kind of trying, but at the same time, like I feel like there'd be other people that just end up doing the job for him. So
yeah, and. Not even because he told them to, but because he just can't. He's trying, bless his heart.
Because what would happen? Honestly, like if like Jamil was still a servant, Jamil would probably just end up babysitting Callum's kid.
I was gonna say, I feel like if Jamil was still a servant, Jamil would just end up raising Callum's kids for him half the time. Like, just like, oh no, the baby's crying. I guess Jamil better take care of that shit, But when it's dinner time, the kids are all around him in the circle eating at dinner time. Yeah. And when it's playtime, he is there, hands on. It is playtime, like.
Yeah. He'd be a lovable father.
Absolutely. But he wouldn't be like, he'd try to relate to his kids in terms of just pure energy. Like he'd want to like, yeah, tell me what's going on, buddy. I'll listen to you. But then the kids tell him what's wrong and he's like, oh, well, that's no good. Let's turn that frown upside down, kind of thing. That's like, no, Callum, you're not hearing what they're saying,
Not all solutions can be solved with food. Most can, but no.
Yeah, food or like buying things. Sometimes
Yeah.
people have emotional issues, and those are harder to deal with,
When I'm sad, I just click add to cart.
Yeah, straight up, no lie. Where is the freaking lie? But yeah, World's okay as dad, absolutely. But like, it's Callum, and Callum has been raised with how many freaking siblings?
Oof, like 30 plus.
So yeah, so if you are that person who is determined to have Callum's children, good luck because you're gonna be pregnant a lot. Like
He's
he
yeah.
wants a lot, okay?
He wants a big family. It is impossible to have 30 kids with one human being. But
certainly at least 3 or 4.
Yeah.
At least.
Large
Like he'd want to have
family.
a bunch of kids. And especially I think he likes kids. I think he thinks kids are adorable. He loves to play with them. He can't deal with them really properly, but he still really likes them. And he'd be super excited every time you had another kid, like
It's like, yeah.
and come on, don't you want to make him happy? Look at him. He's so cute. Don't you just want to make him happy?
Have his
Don't
babies.
do that. Don't have kids just to make a man happy. Do not do that. And that is a joke.
But you know that, yeah, Kylo would have a lot of children.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like he just think that was like the normal thing. Like he just that's his normal, right? So I think he just think that's the normal thing to do. You just have lots of kids, So yeah, prepare yourself for that. Enjoy, I guess.
It's like, yeah, it'll be fine. He's world's okay as dad. We're
He's
good.
get him that mug. He's the world's okayest dad. Speaking of being sad and adding to cart, Pomefiore. Let's go on to Pomefiore here. Oh
Who we
boy.
want to start with?
Well, I guess we start with the youngest, right?
Yes, Apple.
Oh, baby. Listen, I've had some friends who've told me that like they can't even imagine Apple as a dad because he's baby. But you have to hypothetically here, okay? Everyone gets a chance. If we can do it for Riddle, we can do it for Apple, okay?
Yeah, he will. I mean, yeah, he looks baby now, but I believe
give him a few.
Give him a few years.
Yeah, give him a few years. He'll hit a growth spurt eventually, maybe. Us little beans gotta believe in that growth spurt.
he's got room to grow. Copium. Inhale that copium.
It'll happen. I got your back, Apple. If no one else got your back, I got your back.
All right, so Apple, as a dad, I mean,
first of all, he'd be like so much of a cute dad, mainly because I'm sitting there picturing him holding his kid, and his accent is coming in clear as day, and it's amazing.
Go back out on the farm there.
Yep. Looking at his little baby, like, well, ain't they a beaut? Like, so cute.
Oh, okay.
I feel like a lot of the Apple thing is just gonna be how cute we feel here. Okay? It's all the fluff.
His kids will be cute, therefore best dad.
Yeah. Like everything with Apple being a dad is just it's cute. The little family on the farm and raising them with they're gonna be wearing little overalls and whatnot. Oh, it's so cute. I just had a flash of inspiration. Hear me out.
Oh, okay.
Hear me out.
Okay.
If he I don't know if he'd have 2 kids, maybe 3 kids, but at least a set of twins and call them the Epaulettes.
The Epaulettes.
Yes,
little Epaulettes.
You gotta do it!
Little Epaulettes.
Little baby twins that he tucked in a little basket, and they're called the Epaulettes.
Oh, cute. Cute.
Oh, so cute.
I love we're just talking about his children, but we haven't even ranked him yet.
No, we haven't because he's too cute. Okay, in terms of actually ranking him, I feel like he'd be pretty reliable. He'd be awkward, but reliable. So I'd feel okay putting him either in World's okayest dad or trying his best. I feel like put him in trying his best, because I feel
Yeah.
with Apple there's still a little bit of stigma. Like if his kid is not like him, he doesn't know how to handle his kid. He'd be like,
Yeah. I feel like if he had a son, and we like perfectly fine, but I feel like if he had a daughter, he'd have a little bit of a tougher time.
yeah, he like wouldn't really know what to do with his daughter. Like he wants to. I think he still has those old notions in his head, especially when he's in his hometown of like, well, little ladies are like this and tough manly men are like this kind of thing. And with the way that he is now, I mean, he has gone through some growth since chapter 5 and taking that into consideration. But I don't know if that growth, if he's got the mindset yet to take what he's learned from chapter 5 and extend it to other people. It seems to me that it's really about himself, or he's now seeing himself as, oh, cuteness, yeah, it can be power for me. You know, in terms of other people, I feel like if he had a daughter and the daughter was like really like either a tomboy or whatnot, I mean, he'd be happy that she could help out on the farm, but he'd still be like, you know, my daughter should wear cute dresses and you know, stuff like that. You know,
Old fashioned, yeah.
yeah, still old fashioned, but I feel like he would be a bit old fashioned, but also be a bit of a pushover, because I feel like if his daughter was like, no, Papa, it's not like that, he'd be like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Like, he's a bit scared of his own daughter, you know?
Well, he's like just the awkwardness, I guess.
Yeah, he doesn't really know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And I feel like with his kid too, like if his son was, again, someone who like where he was interested in stuff that Apple wasn't interested in, like he didn't want to be a cool manly man, and Apple just wouldn't know what to do. Like he'd respect his son and he'd like support him. He would just be kind of awkward and wouldn't really know what to do about it.
Trying to relate, yeah.
Trying to relate to his kid. But the thing is, and that's why we put him in this tier, he is trying. He is trying to relate. He's a bit awkward with it, but you know.
He's making attempts. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel comfortable with where he is right now. In terms of kids, I had that flash of inspiration, and now I want the epaulets to happen. Okay.
I mean, coming from a farming background, like where for Apple, I see him with like several children and like large family setting. So I do definitely see at least, you know, like 2 or 3 children or more.
Yeah, I could see 3. I could see like the twins and maybe one more. I could see that. Yeah, I love it. Oh, so cute. It's so cute. Oh, and like the whole family would get involved. Like Apple's whole family would get involved, and they'd be so happy. I think they're just happy that Apple found somebody, you know?
Yeah, I would say too. And like Apple seems to be like one of the younger, I guess, people in the town or village.
Yeah. So like him having kids, it'd be like, oh my god, there's finally some like babies in the town, you know?
Yay!
Woo! Finally. So yeah, oh, it'd be so cute though. But yeah, Apple, you're trying your best. Keep trying, man. Keep trying. Oh, Rook Hunt.
Rook continues to be an absolute enigma.
He's so much of an enigma. Oh my god, what do we do with this guy?
Like,
But I feel like in terms of a husband, I can't really place him, but I feel a little bit more confident in terms of him being a dad. And that's mainly because I think he would be an amazing dad, and the reason I think that is because no matter what, he would be totally okay with his kid. No matter what.
I think
like,
so. It'd be
anything.
like this kid's like, child, you will be like validated like every day of your life.
Yeah, you will be validated and loved and like praised every day of your life, and it wouldn't matter. You're a sporty kid. Oh my gosh, magnifique! They're so strong and they do sports so well. They're an artistic kid. Quelle joie! Oh my goodness, you know how artistic of you. Yes, draw me more pictures. Like no matter what, he would love his kid, and his kid, like. Not that his kid couldn't do any wrong, but I think he'd be more of a gentle hand with his kid. You know, so if his kid messed up, like I could definitely see it be one of those like his kid would draw on the walls and then he'd like laugh it off and like wash the walls and then tell his kid like your art is lovely, but let's put it in a sketchbook, and then get his kid a sketchbook, you know?
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of laissez-faire in a sense, but like he, in terms of like really giving his like children a lot of freedom.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I'm pretty sure his kids would know about stuff that they probably shouldn't know about until they were a bit older, purely because they either asked about it or because they discovered it. And he would just be like, well, kids will learn, like, that's how it is. Kids learn things. You're like,
Like, yeah, so I feel like he'll end up, not necessarily. I guess, like, there's some parents that, like, super baby the children and be like, oh, like, no, like, this is, like, not for you at this age, or, like, no, don't do this yet. But then I feel like a Rook is just like, yeah, no, just go. And
I feel like the only time he'd be, like, restricted is like obvious, like, sexual stuff or violent stuff. I think he would be like, okay, wait, we gotta get to a certain age. But, like, basically anything else, like, whatever.
It's like,
he'd be such a carefree parent in that regard. Like, there wouldn't be any restrictions really for his kid. So, I mean, hey, if you are Rook Hunt's kid, you got the good life, okay? Like,
I'm gonna teach you how to skin a deer now.
I was gonna say, just be aware, you might learn how to skin a rabbit at the age of 4, okay? Like,
it's like, I hope you don't cry over it, Mr. Rabbit.
Yeah, I think that would be like the one thing, and like he'd have to teach his kids from an early age, like, yes, animals do die and we do eat them, but they serve an important purpose. And like he'd have to teach them that whole thing. But yeah, there would definitely be some like, Dad, why are you killing the rabbit?
Like, yeah, I guess it could be traumatizing to, like, just have your dad bring back, like, so it's this dead fluffy rabbit with, like, cold
got, like,
dead eyes staring back at you.
And he's got, like, blood all over his hands, and he's like, bonjour. It's like, what the fuck? He just murdered
I guess, like, you'll adapt to it.
Yeah. So a little bit unpredictable in that regard, but absolute, like, complete freedom and complete validation. Rook Hunt would be an amazing dad, okay? He really would.
He'd be like, you want a dad, I'll tell you he's proud of you. Here you go.
Here you go. He will listen, if you could do 2 + 2 = 4, he'd like pick you up and like spin you around, be like, you are so smart. My kid is so smart. Like, he'd love his child so much. And I think for that he'd be an amazing dad. It's just the somewhat unpredictable stuff with like, hey, you're 4 now, time to learn how to use a hunting knife,
Yeah. Well, you'll be prepared, at least.
Yep, for sure. Now, the one I'm going to have trouble talking about, so...
No, Bill. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, Bill. So, I would say Bill could be, like, a good father, but he is very stern as well.
I feel like Vil is one of those. He could have been Azul. He could spoil his kids rotten because they are the children of Vilshenheit. They have that prestige, and he wants them to know that they come from good stock, kind of thing. But where Azul fucks up and where Vil would be good is that I think he would be firm and discipline his kids. Like, he might do it a bit too much.
Yeah, I feel like it, I guess, as, like, the kid, there could be some times where it's just like, like, Dad's being such a nag. He's, like, getting on my case again.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, quick side note, we didn't mention for Rook, but I totally see him having a daughter. I don't know why. Don't question me. My answer for this is about as mysterious as Rook himself. So, yeah.
I just think it's cute.
I just think it's cute, okay? I think he should have a daughter. Anyway, back to Vil. My apologies. Yeah, I could see him kind of nagging his kids sometimes. He'd definitely be the type where, like, if they were being fussy, he'd be sitting there like, don't play with your hat, put that away, like, don't eat that. Like, there's constantly
Yeah. So
he's constantly nagging at his kids.
Yeah, he's good.
And again, he's doing it for their own good, but like with everybody else with Twst, they don't know that,
I feel like ranking Vil as a dad is also ranking him as a mom. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, he is mom and dad both together in one. Like,
and be like, yes, my mother who critiques what I wear and complains about how no one helps in the kitchen.
Yeah, and it's like, actually, that's my dad.
So it's like,
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he'd have, like, almost, I guess, basically almost a controlled diet for them from, like, day one. Only the best produce for his kids. Like that's the thing. He'd still get them. Like they wouldn't get everything they wanted. Like if they went, Dad, like I really want that. Can I have that? He'd be like, No, you already have one at home. Like you don't need other stuff. But he'd still get them like the best clothes money could buy.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
like nothing but the finest materials on their skin when it comes to
Yeah.
clothing.
Yeah. But I think there's one factor here, and that's Vil's own dad. Vil talks about how much like his dad means to him and how much fun that he has with his dad. And I feel like he'd want to be that dad for his kids, you know?
Yeah, it seems like he has a very good relationship with his own father, and I feel like that would transfer.
Yeah. So I feel like he would loosen. I actually feel like as a dad, he'd loosen up a little bit. Having children makes him like not as stressed somehow. He loosens up a little bit. Mainly because now he's like, all right, my dad was like this for me. I want to be like this for my kids. But I feel like he'd be at least an amazing dad, if not absolute dad unit. But I don't want to be biased here, so I'm not gonna place him because I don't want to be too biased here.
We can put him amazing dad, I would say.
I feel like his job also kind of keeps him away from time to time. So there'd be times where he'd like might miss an important event or something because he's away at like a movie shoot or something.
Yeah, I feel like he's a very busy guy, so he might not always be around.
Yeah, but I feel like when he is around, he's there. He's helping with homework. He is like doing chores or whatever with his kids. Like he wants to be involved as much as he can be because obviously it means a lot to him because his dad being there for him meant a lot to him, you know?
Yeah. So we think.
Although, let's face it, the image of Ignihyde going to pick up his kids from school is hilarious.
Driving his I don't even know if he would drive. I guess someone to drive him. Whatever, some sort of like.
It's a fancy car.
Either car. He pulls up. You know, he's wearing his like. He got Gucci sunglasses.
I was gonna say he got them Gucci sunglasses and the pumps, and he's just like walking out styling, and all the soccer moms are like, oh, "Is that Ignihyde? What the fuck?" Like, and he just goes into like a kindergarten class, and his kids there like, "Dad, you're here!" And he's like covered in finger paint and shit.
Yeah, well, we know that even as a father, he'd be just as glamorous.
Oh my god, absolutely. But the thing, and like we've seen it before, because we know he can throw down when the going gets it. So I feel like, yeah, he's glamorous and he's all like, don't touch my like expensive clothes. But with his kid, I feel like, all right, you got paint everywhere. Let's go to the sink and clean that off. You know, like, like he's not afraid to get down and dirty when necessary. Although I do feel like if his kid ever got sick on him, he might screech.
Lipstick on his Valentino bag.
His kid like goes in his room and like puts makeup all over his face, like doing it completely wrong, and Bill's just there like, oh my god, that's like a $300 lipstick.
That just might be a little bit of a panic, but
little bit.
He'll get over it.
He'd panic from time to time, but like if it was one of those where like the kid got hurt, I don't think he'd panic too much. He'd like, let's put a band-aid on that. All right, you're good. But if it's like getting into his stuff, he panics a little bit.
Yes, just a tad.
So yeah, he's an amazing dad. I feel like he'd be able to strike that good balance between spoiling his kids, but also being firm and fair. So like if his kid's throwing a tantrum, he'd be like, no, you're not getting that because you're throwing a tantrum and we don't do that in this house, you know, like. And he'd be able to say no to his kids, you know.
Yeah. I'm trying to go
he'd never go there, but he's that guy who like drives into freaking McDonald's while the kids are like, let's get McDonald's, and he orders one black coffee and drives off. Like,
leaves it.
Yeah.
That's a childhood betrayal right there.
Yeah. Just like you don't need that stuff. We have good healthy food at home.
Yeah. In terms of kids though, I can see him with like one or two, not a lot though. He's kind of a busy guy.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. His lifestyle doesn't really give him the chance for that. So one for sure, because I think he would like to be a dad. Definitely one, maybe two.
Yeah.
And in terms of like boy girl, does it really matter? It's Ignihyde's child.
That child's gonna be so fab, no, regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. So like it doesn't even matter, boy or girl. more like it's a kid and it's Vilshanheide's kid, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But
regardless.
so yeah, feel pretty confident here.
Yeah,
I'm good with this.
I'm good with
Man,
this too.
Yeah, I'm good with this too. We got a lot of amazing dads, but it takes that extra little something to be an absolute dad unit.
It's I mean, what you're going up against, or like the benchmark
Right?
there. It's a pretty high bar to reach.
Not everyone can be Trey Clover. I'm gonna keep saying it.
That's this. You can't. It's just no.
You can't. You can't. All right. I guess. All right. Pomefiore done. Oh
All
boy.
right, moving on. Well, Ortho we already know is
Ortho is gonna. He's a child. We don't do that.
He'd be a good uncle though.
He'd be a great uncle. But speaking of being uncles here, that's if Idia can get his shit together.
Okay, Idia.
Come on, Idia stans. Be honest with yourselves.
As I looked within and what I see, I have to do the honors.
Koa-chan, this is you.
This
you gotta put your man
here.
there. As I put Leona in the would not recommend for all the Leona stands, so Koa-chan too has to take that bullet for the Idia stands.
Yeah, because honestly, when you think about it, I don't think Idia would really want children.
I don't think he's a kid guy. I just don't really think he's a kid kind of guy, you know?
No, he's the one that's just like, would like, get a cat. It'd be like, we already have like a baby. It's like a fur baby. Why would you want a child?
Yeah, that's it. Like he wouldn't see the difference between getting a cat and getting a kid, you know? Like he'd be like, kids are so much more work and they cost so much more and also it gives you less time to game. Like
yeah, it'd be like I think he's very awkward around children. He does not know how to take care of a baby.
No. Well, and I think that's why he would talk negatively about them because I think he's scared of children, honestly. I feel like he knows or he feels that he wouldn't be a good dad, so he's just scared of the prospect of trying.
Yeah, I feel like that's a combination of like kids like, oh, it's like, yeah, kids are too much work, and also be like, yeah, he doesn't really have faith in himself.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. Listen, he has no faith in himself as it is, much less like if he would be able to raise a child. And plus, say here, for example, even if he did have that, say he could be a good dad. Like, after everything we learned from Chapter 6, y'all don't know that there yet, but so I'm not going to spoil it, but after everything we know from Chapter 6, would he really want a kid to be in the same situation as him?
Yeah, that is
like
yeah, without spoiling it, yeah.
Yeah. So
he's in a bit of a situation. Yeah.
Oh, but both externally from like the situation that he's in with his family, whatever, and then internally just him being afraid of children and being like, I can't do this, and he doesn't want to try. Like
if he does have a kid, it would be for like family's sake.
Yeah, for sure.
Basically.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, but he basically have a kid because he has to, you know?
It's just like, yeah, you're the Shroud family calls for it. It's like, okay, that's
that's basically it. But if you had a choice, I would not recommend. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty confident putting him there.
Yeah, he's a bit of a wreck, a nervous wreck.
Oh my god. But if he did have a kid though, can you imagine? He has a son and the son is basically just like Ortho.
Oh, okay. It's
he
like,
just had cute.
But at the same time, like, man, imagine it'd be like somewhat, I guess, bittersweet and heartwarming if like he has a son, but it grows up just looking exactly like Ortho, and it's like,
would be. Yeah, it hurt a little bit. Not gonna lie, it really would. But I feel like at the same time, I mean, if Ortho is still in the picture here, Ortho would be so proud. He'd be like, "Oh my god, yes, my nephew!" Like
Uncle Ortho, my uncle's a robot,
and he looks a lot like me. It'd be so cute though. But I feel like if he had a son and the son was a lot like Ortho in terms of temperament, he'd be like, I don't understand. How does this kid have all this energy? What the hell?
Where does it come from? And he's also the type of, I feel like he's also the type of parent that's just like, we have like the raising a kid through like the iPad. It's just like, here, kid, take this iPad.
Yeah.
Entertain yourself.
But I feel like it'd be also like, because we've seen how much Idia like Idia cares about his family and he will go above and beyond for his family. So I feel like it'd be one of those where even though he's awkward to kids and he can't really relate to his kid a lot, if his kid was like, man, I really wish we could get like a puppy, aw, and then Idia would spend like a week putting together like a robot dog for his kid, you know, like
dog, yeah.
Robo dog, and then he'd have like a little robot. It's like, oh, sorry, I can't deal with a real dog, but like here, you can have a robot dog, and it like has all these functions and whatever. And he'd go on like a 2-hour tirade telling his kid all the functions that this robot dog can do. Like,
yeah, it's just like it's like, do we really need laser beams installed into this robot dog?
you never know. What if the kid is in danger and the dog needs laser beams? Okay. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So like, even though I can't really say he'd be a really good dad, but I feel like if he was a dad, he'd try. But let's face it, he doesn't really want to be a dad.
Yeah, he's not. The drive isn't really there.
It's really not. So yeah. All right. Sorry, EDS stands. We gotta put you down on that one. But speaking of some family here, Diasomnia. Oh my gosh. We are all hyped for the found family dynamics. Let's talk about these boys. It is their time to shine in JP.
So,
I guess we'll start from the youngest and go up here. All right,
yeah,
Sebek.
Yeah, it's Sebek. I keep forgetting what year Silver's into we got.
He's in second year, and literally the only reason I know that is because people keep making videos where it's just the second years and Silver's in it. So like, that's how
sorry,
I keep track.
I just had temporary forgot. Okay, you know what Sebek is?
You know what? I would put I was gonna say I would put Sebek in World's Okayest Dad, even though personally I'm not a huge fan of Sebek. I still like the guy, and if you watch the last video, we're now friends. We're friends now. We came to an understanding, so Sebek is my friend now. But he's World's Okayest Dad, because let's face it, he would try his damnedest for his family. He's so into it. Okay, if somebody could muster up the freaking like gonads to have this man's kids, and he had kids, he would want to be the best dad for those kids almost too much.
Yeah, you know? He's an overzealous dad.
He's an overzealous dad, like he is with everything else in his life. Okay, like his kids will be raised properly, and like he'd be a little bit of a militant dad, not gonna lie. But I think if like his kids, or actually no, not his kids, if his wife came to him and said, honey, like you're being too harsh, he'd be like, oh, okay. Like
it's like, okay, maybe tone it down.
Yeah, you'd like tone it down a little bit. It's like but he's just doing it because he wants his best for his kids. And he tries so hard, and I think for the most part he would succeed. Yeah, just too loud.
It's too loud, might spook babies. The babies quite a bit, but I think.
But then I think that when he'd spook the babies and the babies would start crying, he'd be like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry." Like he would feel unending like guilt for doing that, you know.
Yeah, I feel like he's got the drive to, you know, want to do his best and improve. So I think that he would be World's Okayest Dad.
World's Okayest Dad. You get him that mug. And in terms of like what kids I think he would have, I could see him having 2 boys. I don't know why.
Oh, he's like I was thinking like sons.
2 sons, maybe 3 sons, but 2 sons for sure. And he would like from like a young age teach them how to use a sword and everything. You know,
just train them up to also be like, I guess, knights.
Yep, and like he'd teach them all the proper manners, teach them how to be knights. So like anytime Malleus or like Lilia came around or whatnot, and they would like stand in good formation with good manners, you just see this beaming smile on his face. He's so proud of his boys, you know.
Proud dad.
World's proudest dad. Like
yeah, you get that, Sebek.
And you know what? The overzealous includes the validation. Like if his kids were like, you know what, Dad, I'm like not cut out to be a knight, but I want to be like a scholar or an artist. He'd be like, fine, you do that and you be the best at that. You hear me? Like
you go out and you nail it.
You do that and you make the WayGVZaL name proud by being the best artist or the best, scholar, whatever it is you want to do. But you just do what you do, but do it the best.
It's like Yeah. I can picture that for Sebek.
Yep, I can do that. I picture it too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Silver, on the other hand, I feel like Silver is either in World's okayest dad or he's an amazing dad.
Yeah.
Because I think he would be one step up from Sebek purely because he would try his best. I feel like Sebek's a little overzealous, for better or for worse. Silver is a little bit more chill, obviously. But I also think he's got that gentle sweetness that Sebek is just missing, obviously.
Yeah, he's got the, like, the empathy, gentleness.
Oh my god, he'd be so gentle with his kid. He'd be like gentle touches, soft voice, big warm smile. Like his kid would never not feel loved in his presence, you know?
Yeah. I feel like it's very soothing, I guess.
Yeah. And like if he needed to train his kid, because I think he would. I think that's just a thing with both Sebek and Silver. He'd train his kid, no matter the gender. Like they train their kid. And he'd be firm but fair, you know.
I can see that too. You know what? We can put him
like,
here.
Like, I mean, he's a Disney princess, right? So who is to say that he wouldn't also therefore be like the most cliche typical like good Disney dad, you know?
Good father. Good Disney
Good
dad.
father. Yeah. Just there, like the kid's all upset, like, I can't believe I missed that. And he's just like, don't worry, sweetie, you'll get it next time. Now, you could tell me I'm wrong here, but I see Silver with a daughter if he had a kid.
I could just see him with like a daughter or son, like just regardless of gender, but
I can't see more than one though.
Yeah, that's just like single child, either like boy or girl.
Yeah. I personally see more daughter, but if he had a son, I could also see that as well. I think either way, Sebek and Silver, like their kids would be, if not raised together, then like they'd be really close friends.
Yeah, I can see that.
The rivalry continues down the line.
Sebek being like a little too overzealous there. Like, we can't let her win.
Yeah, we can't let them win. And Silver's just like, just do your best, sweetie.
Basically, I feel like his kid would just be like, also, have knightly qualities regardless.
Oh, I think, yeah, regardless of gender, I feel like Silver's child would be like a little knight and absolutely gorgeous because Silver is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, Sebek's pretty attractive too, so his kids would also be attractive. But Silver is absolutely gorgeous, so I feel like his kid would be absolutely gorgeous as well. Little like prince or princess.
Prince on a white horse, or prince or lady knight on a white horse, which is, I do like that image.
Like, I was gonna say, either like prince on white horse or lady knight on white horse. Either way, it works, you know. So.
Like, yeah,
so
I
could see that. I could see it, and it's nice, and I think it's great. So yeah, I like this placement for the both of them. I feel like this is right.
I'm happy with
that. let's go. We do dorm leaders last. So Lilia. Okay, well we already know for Lilia.
Lilia's already a dad.
You know what? Just for the sake of it, because we already know, like between Malleus and Lilia, or God, I go again. Between Malleus and Silver and Sebek, we already know he's an awesome dad. I think even though he's got his flaws, we should just put him in absolute dad unit. He is already a dad. He's cringy, he's embarrassing, he's amazing. He cannot cook worth a damn.
Yeah, his cooking.
He trained his boys like they were soldiers until he freaking realized, maybe I should be a dad. Like, he's so stupid, but we love our gremlin Gramps, don't we?
Like, admittedly, his parenting skills are a little bit questionable based on, like, the stories we hear.
Yeah, but, I mean, honestly, the fact that he went out of his way to raise these 3 boys, and they all turned out pretty freaking fantastic. You gotta give him that.
I was like, no, you raised these boys, and they turned out to be fine, so, okay.
Like, Malleus is awesome. Silver is an absolutely amazing human being, and Sebek has got his flaws, but you know what? Overall, he's pretty good. Okay. I think simping just
He's
comes to the territory in
he's
Briar Valley.
earnest.
So. Yeah. So, you know what, Lilia, you've got so many flaws, but just because your boys are doing so well, you've earned this.
Here
He's
you go.
absolute daddy. And you know what? Plus, he will stay up to he stays up to game with his kids. He drags his kids gaming with him, and he would tell the cringiest dad jokes.
Yeah. He's a fun dad too, so.
He's fun. He's a fun dad. He's a cringy dad. He will embarrass his children. In fact, he does it on a regular basis. Now, if you were the type of person where you are an MC where you wanted to ship yourself with Lilia, like if you actually had Lilia's kids, like if he had more kids, just for fun, I want him to have a daughter because he's never had one.
Oh, that's true. He's only had sons, though.
He's only had sons.
Just give him a daughter.
Let's give him a daughter. Let's let him have fun with that. I'm sure it'll be a new experience with him, and he'd love it. Okay, let's do that. One more daughter.
It's really funny way to think about it. So it's like, wait, if you like marry Lilia and had his like kid, then it's just like. I'm like trying to think of how this family tree works.
Kotan, you're going down a rabbit hole here. I don't think we're allowed to acknowledge. We can't acknowledge the rabbit hole, okay? We just move on. We move on because if we start thinking about it, it gets too complicated and things start getting squicky, okay? Don't think about it. Don't think about it. We move on.
Okay. Because I'm like, oh yeah, that family tree starts getting really weird.
Don't go down that rabbit hole. You can't come out of it.
All right. We'll move on. Move on to Malleus.
Finally, everybody, it is the poster boy himself, the Malleus Draconia. Oh my lord. Oh, in terms of being a dad, I mean, he have to at least have one kid. He needs an heir, right?
Yeah, he needs an heir to their throne.
So at least one kid, if not more. I could see more than one, just because I think he would enjoy being a dad. And I think he was nervous at first to have a kid. But then after he had a kid, he's like, actually, I love this. Let's have more kids.
Yeah, I think it takes some adapting to. He needs to learn.
He's definitely
like, how
awkward.
To handle, yeah.
Yep, and he's kind of like Jack, where he fits into that big, tall dad and small baby like dynamic. So he's like holding this little kid, and he's like, oh my god, it's so tiny. I could break it like immediately. It's so fragile.
It's like,
but in terms of actually being a good dad, I would say either the world's okayest dad or an amazing dad. I could see either way, because I feel like he'd be super busy a lot because he's the future king, so he has a lot to deal with, and I think a lot of times the kids would have to deal with tutors and nursemaids and whatnot because he's just really busy. But I feel like when he's not busy, like when he actually does have a moment, he would want to be with his kids. And let's face it, it's already kind of canon that Malleus is like kind of in love with MC, so he'd want to be with his family, so his wife and his child. Like, anytime he can, affectionate dragon husbando wants to spend that time with you.
It's like, I'm like flickering back and forth between
I know.
If we're okay as a dad or amazing dad, because
he is really busy, and he is like, as a king or whatever, future king, he is really busy, so there would be some times where he wouldn't be able to be there, and he's kind of awkward with them because he's like, oh my god, they're so fragile, I could just like, it'd be so easy to just hurt them, and I really don't want to because they're my child, so he's kind of awkward with them. But being such a lonely kid or whatever, I feel like he wouldn't want his kid to be lonely, No.
So I kind of put him on the same as like Callum there.
Yeah. He'd be good. I think a lot of it would come down to, tutors and nursemaids and stuff just because he's so busy all the time. And, he is kind of that type where, the truth may be harsh, but we must accept the truth, where it's like, his kid is the heir to the throne, right? So I think from a young age, he didn't have his parents there to prepare him for it, but he can be there for his kid to prepare them for like taking the throne after him, and so the lessons would start from a young age.
Yeah, and like he'll like explain like things in detail, right? He's like takes the time to kind of basically teach
Yeah.
his children.
Yeah. He, especially his heir, I think he would take the time to teach them personally, which again, if he had more than one kid, it might seem like it's like picking favorites or whatnot. But I think it's just sort of natural because his heir is the heir.
Yeah, that's like they
Yeah.
gotta prepare for a lot.
They gotta prepare for a lot more than the other kids, right? Now, in terms of what kids Malleus would have, he definitely have at least one because he needs that heir. But I
Yeah.
could see him liking being a dad, and I think he is rather affectionate with his kids. So I think he'd have two, if not three.
Yeah, I could see like, at least like one girl and one boy.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you guys, and if you don't think this, then that's fine. But I can see his first kid being a daughter, and then the daughter is the heir. Because I mean, if his grandmother is queen right now, I don't know why, and I could be totally proven wrong later, but I feel like in Briar Valley, my current headcanon is that the gender of the kid doesn't matter. It's just like whoever is born first is the heir.
Yeah, I mean, like, considering, yeah, his grandmother's on the throne and Malleus is the next heir in line, I feel like they'd just be indifferent either way. It's a sort of like, especially with what the Queen of Thorns, right? It's
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, so I feel well, and considering that, like we learn now, even in the English version, even like the Rose Kingdom is a queendom of roses, so it's always a queen who's in charge there, I guess. But yeah, I feel like in Briar Valley, it's just whoever happens to be born first is the heir. So I feel like he'd have a daughter, and his daughter would be heir, and it would be really cute. Okay, just let Malice Draconia be a dad. Okay,
Let me
he
a
needs to be
dad.
a
Look
cute.
after this.
Yep, I volunteer as tribute.
It's all yours.
Is I do this. I don't know. We got all the students now, so now
All right.
the
Fun
teachers.
times.
We got
Well, we know Grim kind of goes here,
Yeah, he's
so
an animal, so that doesn't count.
let's not count.
Who the fuck would want? I'm sorry, Crowley. Who? Um, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Would you? I mean,
Uh,
Crowley has not really
no.
instilled a lot of confidence.
Listen, if we're supposed to be his de facto kid in game kind of thing, he's so useless, man. He like goes off wherever the frick he wants, and he doesn't give a damn. Okay, bad dad.
Bad bird dad.
Bad bird dad. What is this deadbeat? Unless he like comes back at the end of chapter 7 with some like amazing shit, like haha, I was actually amazing all the time, and you didn't know. But like that's some bullshit, okay?
Until he redeems himself.
Until he redeems himself somehow. He's going in the would not recommend. Don't have children with this guy, okay?
His track record has not been great so far. His handling of the students at the school has not been great so far.
No, he's so useless. And he's basically made it plain that anytime something goes wrong, it's not that he cares for the student on a basic level, but it's more like, oh my god, the PR, how are we gonna explain this shit?
So it's like, yeah, you're not giving me a lot of confidence here, Crowley. You are not. Would not recommend.
No, yeah, would not recommend. Yeah, for sure. That's an easy one. I don't think we have to go any further on that. Next one here, Cruel Sensei. That's hard to say because Cruel Sensei for me is such a man. Like I wouldn't have kids with this guy. I would just want to fuck him. Okay.
He's a daddy, but we don't know if he's dad.
Dad. Yeah, absolutely. He's daddy, but dad.
I can see him having a lot of fur babies.
Oh yeah, he'd have like 10 dogs. Okay, and they'd all be Dalmatian.
Oh yeah.
For sure. But I feel like if he did have a kid, he'd be responsible. He'd be strict with them, like you're not doing anything else until you finish your homework.
Yeah.
But I think he'd as a teacher, he'd help them out. I think he'd be really supportive. So I could see him either in like World's okayest dad or even an amazing dad. I could see him be a pretty good dad. Yeah. He'd be, strict, but also, you know what? He'd be like Vil. He'd be strict, but give a bit of freedom. He'd be really supportive. He'd be really validating, like anything his kid would be into. He's like, okay, fine. Just if you're gonna do something, do it well.
I'm just gonna put him in World's okayest dad.
Yeah, he'd be a bit strict.
A bit
I
strict.
feel like if you pissed him off or like you got on his bad side, he'd be really harsh with his kid, and his kid be a bit scared of him.
It's like, yeah, he can be a little intimidating.
A little bit scary. But I think he gets his really good moments, so I can't you know, I can't put him any lower than that. I think he's good there.
No, we'll put him there.
Yeah. Vargas Sensei, I feel like I'm just gonna put Vargas Sensei here first because I feel like I need to get him out of the way. I would personally say not recommend, but I know some people are out there, and I can't say that he would be an awful father because I don't think he'd be an awful father. I feel like let's put him in tries his best because I feel like he would try his best. He just doesn't get it.
No, he's too dumb.
He's too dumb. He's too dumb.
He's very focused on the muscles and the athleticism. So if his kid was not athletic, we're gonna have a rough
He wouldn't know
time.
what to do.
Yeah.
He wouldn't know what to do with it. But you know what? I think he would at least try. So I think just because the motivation would be there and he would at least try, I can't in good conscience put him in not recommend, but I can't put him any higher either.
Yeah, I can't put him any higher.
Yeah,
I think he tries. There. Yeah.
He tries. Train Sensei, we kind of already know is an amazing dad because he talks about his daughters a lot.
He's already a father of like.
He's already a dad, and anytime he talks about his daughters, it's always really like pleasant, you know.
And like, yeah, he's a little bit like, you know, strict or whatever, but he's like one of the few staff members that like actually genuinely cares about the safety of his students.
Yeah, he actually cares. Freaking Train Sensei VIP best teacher because he gives a shit.
He actually gives a shit. It's like, yeah.
I mean, Corel Sensei also gives a shit, but the difference is that Corel Sensei is like, you know, kids, you can stir up the pot too, right? Like,
yeah, it's like whatever.
Encourages the students to do bad shit, whereas like Train Sensei is very old school, old fashioned. Like, you whippersnappers, you better keep your business to yourselves, okay? I don't want to hear about any funny business.
Yeah, so he is, you know, like very stern, but he actually generally does have, you know, the safety of the NRC students in mind, which gives it's a lot more than we can say for Crowley.
Yeah, God. Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So yeah, Train Sensei, you've kind of earned that spot between actually giving a shit about us and the fact that you love your daughters a lot. So yeah there you go, Train Sensei, amazing dad. And last but not least, Sam.
Ooh, Sam.
Oh my God,
Sam, my man.
Where can we put Sam?
It's weird because when I think about Sam, I'm just like, I just see him as a bachelor mainly. Like,
I know, so do I, which is hard, but we have to think about if he's a good dad here. So let's say, okay, maybe he is a bachelor and he decides to like adopt a kid. Okay, how would he be with this kid? I feel like he'd be a pretty fun dad. Like, he'd be pretty cool as a dad, and I think he would be there. He'd be like, he'd have a relationship with his kid, and I think it'd be a pretty good one. I think if his kid might be a bit wary of him, but I feel like overall it would be pretty good. I think he'd do his best for his dad. So I would put him in world's okayest dad.
Yeah, I think he would do a decent job. I don't think there's anything where it's like a big red flag necessarily.
No,
of like, ooh.
Well, that's it. And I mean, let's face it, there are some Sam fans out there who would want that. So you know what? This is for you guys, for like the 5 of you. Okay.
But Sam's a cool guy though, yeah.
He is a cool guy, and you know what? I think his kid would be just as cool as him. I don't know why.
I feel like that too would be like just like also help around the shop and.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think, ironically, despite the fact that he's a bit of a con artist in terms of like everybody else, he's mysterious or whatever. I feel like his kid would be like the one person that he's fair to, you know?
Yeah. I think Sam is he'll be okay dad.
He'd be okay dad.
Okay dad.
Okay dad.
Yeah, okay.
Give him that mug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We did it!
Oh my God, that was a
everybody.
long journey, but we did it. And I'm actually quite happy with like the distribution, even though it was like not necessarily intentional, but
I know, we kind of got a good placement here, and there isn't, like, I'm kind of looking over it again, and I don't feel like there's anybody who's really like out of place, you know?
just like we had our reasonings for
And I mean, honestly, if you guys disagree, like, please feel free to, because this is just our dumb opinion, okay? Like, this is not set in stone. If you had people you would move around, like, I'm sure that's possible. Like, you could definitely probably move a couple of the amazing dads up to absolute dad unit, or maybe you wouldn't put, like, I don't know, like Jade or Lilia up so high. But I would argue with you if you wanted to move Trey Clover, okay? Like,
It's like that spot is
you
cemented.
can't move him. You can't move him. He's the one. You can't move him, okay? I just think it's really funny because he's not one of my husbandos. He's not one of your husbandos either. But you just can't move him. He's just there.
We cannot, like, based on the logical facts in front of us, we simply cannot deny the fact that Trey Clover is an absolute dad unit.
He is, and if any of you listening, watching this right now, did not hear Twisted Wonderland Dad Tier List and immediately think of Trey Clover, you're a fucking liar, okay? You are lying right now. You're like... The first thing you thought of when you thought Twisted Wonderland Dads is Trey Clover, okay?
Yeah. And then maybe Lilia.
Maybe Lilia. Maybe Lilia, yeah. Which is why we put him here. Because he deserves that. So, yeah, this is our tier list. This has been a lot of fun, actually. I love doing these tier lists.
Yeah, it's especially thinking about characters we don't usually think about and, like, trying to categorize.
Like, I don't normally think about Ruggy, so that was kind of actually difficult for me to think about.
It's like, yeah, some of the... And then it's like working with whatever information we have that we know of up to this date, right?
Yep. And it was very hard for me not to put Vil and even Jamil in, like, absolute dad unit because I'm so biased. But you know what? That's what we do. That's why we do these things together so that we're not biased about it.
Yeah, personal bias or anything.
Yep. But this is going to be our tier list for now. What do you guys think, though? Are we, like, completely wrong, or do you agree? Maybe let us know in the comments. I want to hear your opinions on the matter. And if you like more content like this, please don't forget to like and sub to both of our channels. The link for Koa-chan's channel will be in the description, so go check her out. She makes awesome videos. But you probably already know that because you're probably here from her channel.
Well, it's like we do a lot of things together, right? And yeah, especially our monthly updates too with the Twst news.
Yeah, which we will be doing tomorrow, so please look forward to that. The NRC Times will be updating once more. And oh my god, there's always so many videos to make around New Year's because I just put up my New Year's banner for the JP server, so that's going to be up. We're putting this video up, and then, gosh, we got a whole bunch of things that we're going to be doing tomorrow, including the new NRC Times. There's going to be a New Year's event as well in the English server that we'll have to cover. And of course, Lilia's birthday is also tomorrow, so please look forward to that as well. Lots of things to do. Lots of Twist content coming to us in January, so please look forward to that, my little beanies. But for now, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And this is going to be Little Bean.
And this is Koa Mio.
And we are signing out for now. Have a great one.
See you all next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.